founder and CEO of Man of War, Rafa Conde. Flex Wheeler, welcome to the Man of War podcast, brother. It is an honor to have you on.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here, brother. Congratulations to the podcast. I'm envious because I've been talking about starting a podcast for like the last year now, and I just haven't got off my butt to do it, man.
You got to do it. You got to do it without a doubt, man. Especially with your message, it'll resonate with a lot of people. So before we get started, for our audience, maybe someone that doesn't know you've been living under a rock or something, can you introduce yourself a little bit?
My name is Kenneth Martin Wheeler. That's my legal name. My professional name is Flex Wheeler. I'm an old bastard. God willing, I'll be 58 next Thursday. Born and raised in Fresno, California. Went to school there, Edison High School. I graduated. Didn't go into college. I went into police academy. Was a sheriff officer there in Fresno, California. Started actually fighting in martial arts back when I was 7 years old. I love fighting. There's absolutely no better sport to me than fighting. It's just that amazing adrenaline you get when somebody touches you or you touch them. Believe it or not, I'm actually probably was 10 times better as a fighter than I ever was as a pro bodybuilder. And
damn,
even my trainer,
saying a lot.
Yeah, saying a lot. Even my mentor and who I owe everything to, Tyro Maguire, my sensei. Even he went on camera and said, "You guys think he was great as a bodybuilder? He was 10 times better as a fighter." So I love the sport of working out. Started working out when I was about 9 years old. Graduated out of high school. I'm the true 98-pound weakling. I was about 98 pounds, soaking wet, and my nickname was Skinny Kenny back then. And then just very derogatory. We were really harsh on each other back then. And then when I started working out, I had a little man's complex. So I used to walk around like I'm a big guy, and like people were like, "Okay, why you always flexing?" I'm like, why you always flexing? And he kind of just cut it short after a while. Here comes Flex again. I went on stage. I was about 13 years old, and they started calling me Flex Wheeler, and I've kind of been running with it ever since.
Beautiful.
Retired when I was 80 back in 2003 due to some health problems. I have a rare kidney disease. I had a kidney transplant in 2003. That's why my career ended in bodybuilding. Lost my leg about 2 years ago to a blood clot. Still kicking like Kato, man. What are you going to do? Even if it's raining outside, you got to go out and get it done. So
I'm proud of you, man. That's a warrior mindset, without a doubt. So, we need more warriors in our society, without a doubt.
Especially nowadays. You're not kidding about that. We're living in some pretty crazy times.
I read somewhere that you were training in Kempo at the beginning with fighting, and
when I was 9 years old, started off in Shorin-ryu. Then I went to Shotokan, came back to Shorin-ryu, then went to Taekwondo. Hapkido karate, Chinese kung fu, came back to Taekwondo, and then who now I give credit for my entire fighting ability and my mindset that I was able to use in bodybuilding. Met Tyro Maguire, who was at that time a fifth dan in Taekwondo, and his business partner was a sixth dan in Kempo, and they formed together this alliance called Kempo. So obviously everybody knows Kempo was very great, close combat, hands, elbows, stuff like that. But respectfully, very weak when it comes to your leg ability. Obviously, Taekwondo was beautiful at that. Great aerial kicks, but it's not really combat oriented. And if you break their barrier as far as their legs, hands are not the most powerful and things. Yeah. So they just took the best of both worlds, just the best of the hands and the best of the feet, and formed Kempo. And I have my second degree in Kempo.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's stay in the martial arts, because I'm a big martial artist, been training for a very long time. And nowadays, everything is MMA. Like the young guys have no idea about traditional martial arts, man. When you say Shotokan or Shorin-ryu or Chinese Kung Fu or anything like that, they're lost. Yeah. I came up very traditional like yourself. I came up in Chinese Kung Fu and Aikido, and I think this is my point of view. I don't know if you would agree here, but the essence of the traditional martial art where you would actually go learn it, study it, manifest the mindset very deep is pretty much dead in many places nowadays. Everything is MMA, go mix all the martial arts and go to the ring. What are your thoughts on that?
First and foremost, whatever advances the sport, martial arts, in any discipline, right? I'm for it. I think you're very right when it comes to just the pure art itself. It's kind of died out, and now it's all MMA. I do agree with that as far as like when it comes to true fighting, because all the different disciplines have their weaknesses. I would probably dedicate Thai boxing as probably one of the most complete fighting arts that you can take a yellow belt in Thai boxing
Yes.
and put him on the street. He probably handled anyone who walked up on him. But yeah, I mean, just me and you talking, no disrespect to anyone else and with their beliefs. You asked me a question, so I'm going to answer it. I think that beauty and that love is gone. Just the tradition that you have, getting high-ranking belts, just the mental part of it is so much deeper. The mindset of it is gone. And also, I think, even before MMA became powerful, because of movies and all of that, all these dojos start popping up, and you're getting these guys who are, you know, freaking 3 years old with a second-degree black belt. It became a business where the kids would leave because they didn't get the belt that they wanted.
Yeah.
And that kind of, I think, softened the sport also. Tara Maguire, who I dedicate everything to, he literally held me back as a brown belt for probably like 5 years.
Oh,
but,
man.
Before he even gave me my brown belt, he held me back as a green belt for 3 years. So he would literally make me walk in with my green belt on, put on a brown belt and fight in a brown belt division, and then accept my award and put my green belt back on and walk.
I love that. That is old school, man.
I know, and I would be so angry. And then when I tried out for my my black belt, at the time I was very, very immature. Even in my 19, 20, 21, I had a lot of issues as a child that kind of held me back with developing and stuff like that. So I had so much respect for him that when I tried out for my black belt, I didn't think I did well enough. Now, later on, I found out that I passed, but because I was so upset afterwards, I put on my clothes, I got out, and I just walked out of the dojo. I didn't get my black belt. He said, because you're not ready here yet. Everything else is ready. We trained a lot of the military and Fresno PD, and he would literally make me put on no belt at all, and I would just run through all the black belts, all these sergeants and third degrees, you know, with all, you know, belt don't even have no color on it anymore. Yeah. And they would always ask what my belt is, and he would never allow me to tell him. And I'd always like, why are you holding me back? I mean, look at these guys. He goes, that's the reason why, you know, I want you to be a true black belt in essence. So he literally didn't give me my black belt until I went back to one of his tournaments after I won the USA championship.
Wow. So, powerful, man. Powerful.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. You're right. It's just gone. It's different. But I think also, if you look at like the UFC, some of the greatest fighters, UFC and also Karate Combat, right? And some of the other organizations, you look at the true like point fighters, the true martial artists, they're killing it. I know Wonder Boy very well. Raymond Daniels fought underneath me before he was even a green belt. I was a brown belt and black belt fighting. I used to watch Raymond Daniels fight as a point fighter. And then I went to his very first full contact fight. So look at him now, you know, just running through everybody. And, you know, obviously the Wonder Boy took it to the UFC, and he's just an amazing fighter. So when you have that, especially distance, I love kicking, right? I just thought it was something so amazing to be able to take your leg and launch it at an opponent and touch them with it or blow them out of the, you know, out of the ring. And they can't even, like, their brain don't even recognize fast enough what's happening. I have all these Super 8s, and we used to slow them down. I would launch attack, and my foot would be about this far away, and you can see the guy's eyes finally go like that. It's too late. Even in MMA, it's and even in point fighting, it's about distance, right? It's not allowing that person to pierce your barrier of your comfortability.
Sure.
And for me, that was my legs. That's my long range fighting. So I think a lot of the guys who come from that, even what's his name from Brazil?
Oh yeah, yes, Yoshi.
It was also
karate guy.
Karate, and he did incredibly well. So it's that distance and the way we kick. We don't change our weight distribution. You know, when we're fighting, we don't lean back to kick. We just launch the kick. I just love the sport. I love the sport of fighting. Fighting is different than, I think, martial arts. Fighting, it doesn't matter. Maybe you're a guy who can take a lot of punishment, and then you can then throw some, and that person can't handle your punishment. You can be in an MMA and do well in that. In point karate or two karate, or even back in PKA.
Oh, those days. I remember those days.
Yeah. I almost went to PKA before I got into bodybuilding, because Bill Superfoot Wallace is a good friend of mine. Chuck Norris used to fight one of my old instructors, Robert Halliburton, got rest his soul, that I trained Shotokan under, and he got his black belt from Funukesini over in Japan. So, but
yeah, man, like Benny Urquidez, those guys.
Man. Yeah, Benny, good God. And his brother, Binky. Yeah, Benny went all over the world and just ran through people.
Yes, he did. That dude had a great kicking, man. He was an amazing kicker. Yeah,
amazing kicker. His we call it the blitz back then. His blitz was just ridiculous. Yeah, that was. I mean, don't get me started on karate or anything.
That's awesome. So let's switch gears. At what point did you switch gear? Right, like all of a sudden you were martial arts and you were a young man coming up. At what point did you say, you know what, I want to start now bodybuilding and seeing where I can get in competition? Because that's a huge shift from one to another.
It is, but it wasn't really for me, because I started weight training when I was about 12 years old. So I was already into martial arts from being 9 years old. And I did them both throughout the entire essence of me fighting. And even at the high level when I was fighting, I would work out first, because my martial arts class wasn't until 7 o'clock at night. So I'd go in the gym and train, and my dojo was actually inside a gym. So I would go in and train, then walk right over to the dojo, and I would then train in martial arts. So I think what really helped is I never lost my flexibility. So I didn't like go out and just obesely work out with weights and then try to fight, because then I'm gonna lose my flexibility. So I think because for over a decade, I did both of them simultaneously. But I didn't actually make that decision. Like I said, Tyrone McGuire made that decision for me. I won the California Championship in 1989, that Saturday. And then I came back to Fresno and I fought in the California Championship in martial arts, and I won the grand champion in that. And it was a time where I was just really broke. I was working as a freaking rent-a-cop, which is kind of sad, because I'd already went through police academy and all that. I'm like, what do I do? And he goes, well, I think you should take this bodybuilding thing more serious. I'm like, how could you say that? I thought you said I was a great fighter. Because you're one of the best fighters I've ever seen in my life. And he's like, Flex, you're the one that chose you. I go, well, how do I know which one chose you? And he goes, bodybuilding chose you. Because back then, if you went into a movie and you're a martial artist, you did a bunch of flamboyant kicks, and the star of the movie knocks you out with a freaking override haymaker, which was so disgusting, embarrassing to us true fighters, because that would never work. I'd break your ribs before you even launch that old man kick, you know what I mean? At that time, it was money in the bodybuilding. So he goes, bodybuilders chose you. You can make your money at that. And that's why I chose bodybuilding. I never looked back after that. But I did continue fighting all the way up until after I won the Mr. USA. I continued fighting, and I continued training pretty much my whole bodybuilding career also. Hence the reason of being able to do the splits on stage and all that stuff. Even at like my heaviest, 298 pounds, was my heaviest. I could still take my leg and just stab it straight in the air like that. I went out for a whole bunch of movies back then, and they just like, but I was dyslexic and I couldn't read well, but they went absolutely bonkers over. I mean, I could do every kick you can imagine, axe kick, jump axe kick, jump spinning axe kick.
Did you have to maintain a flexibility schedule? I mean, in other words, did you stretch out often?
No, not at all. So once I fully got into bodybuilding, I mean, I guess from, like the age of 9 all the way up until whatever, my late 20s of just always, stretching, it didn't leave. And I would just kind of do just like the hurdle stands, just a little bit. I never practiced like doing the splits. Even when I would do my routine, I would say, okay, now I'd be going down in the splits, and I would count about how long it takes to do that. And most of the time I would say to myself, because my routines on stage were always improv, I always knew what my best poses were. I knew what my transitions were. I always train in a gym. I go in and practice for like 2-3 hours of posing. I'm about 5 weeks out from a show. I knew what everything was. I had this move that I would spin, and I'd always do the splits. And every time I spun, I would start to open my legs like, God dang it, I didn't mean to do that. And I would just like pray, and I would just relax. And just, that's why I was always really slow. I was like, what's it going to happen? Hey, it's happening. All right, yeah, I'm in there. So, but no, it's nothing that I stretched, and I didn't stretch any more than that. So now I'm just as stiff as a board.
So take me into your bodybuilding career. All right. Now, I mean, you were definitely one of the top bodybuilders. So, talk to me a little bit about, you made the commitment, and now what was it? Did you have a set goal? Was it to go out there and compete on the stage in Mr. Olympia? I mean, talk to me about that.
Yeah, this is really going to bust everybody's bubble. I was just broke. I was broke. I knew I could make money guest posing. I didn't have anything else going for me. So, I think from my martial arts background and just how I'm hardwired, I don't know any other way but going hard. That's a plus now with all the problems that I've had, health-wise. I just don't know how to stop. I just keep pushing. So it's all I had. I had no plan B. So I ran hard with plan A. Training at Goes Gym Venice, you hear about shows and all the guys are in there competing. So, I heard about the Junior USA. I had no game plan. I was working as a bouncer at Roxbury, which was a famous nightclub in LA at the time. I had no plans. It was just try to get better. And then when I turned pro and I got a contract with Leader, I understood the better I did on stage, the better I would do as far as contractual and also prize money. So that then, pretty much fueled me. Train harder, train better, and win shows and make money and pay your bills and take care of your family. That was purely my goal. Probably towards the last 3 years, I started taking the Olympia more serious and try to obtain that title. I understood that if I had the Olympia title, that probably would entitle me to make even more money. I honestly really didn't care about the title itself, except what it could bring me. When I was younger and I didn't make money, it was a sport. When it became that I was making a living and paying my bills, it was a business. If Ronnie wasn't there, I went because I knew I was pretty much guaranteed to take first place. If it was a show where Ronnie was going in, I would look at with second prize, like, okay, let me try to, let me go at him. But at the very minimum, let me hold second down.
Now you attended, how many Olympians did you actually compete in?
Not many. Let me see, 93, 95, 96. 97.
Well, that's a lot.
No, I think I missed 97, 98. Not many. I think maybe like 6 or 7. I missed quite a few due to different things that was going on. Placing second 3 times was the highest I got.
That's a major accomplishment.
Shoot. Yeah. I mean, again, it was just about money. Nobody competes to be the bridesmaid, but I understood the business. I understood that it's not always how good you are on stage. A lot of other things come into play. And, once Ronnie finally won, I understood that if he's running full speed, especially after my car accident and missing 94, not being able to train because I broke C5 and C6 in 94 in a car accident, yeah. I'm like, how do you catch someone who's been running full speed for a year? That was like my mind frame. Literally, if he's running full speed, for an entire year, and I have a setback that sets me down. How do I catch these guys? So, in 95 when I went to the Olympia, it was 94 when I went to the Olympia just to watch. I was like, I'm done. But it's not going to be because of lack of trying. So I just went back in the gym and I just gave it everything I got. It's like, hey, listen, I don't really believe that I'm going to do well, but it ain't going to be because I didn't try it and give it everything I had.
Run me through you getting ready for one of these, large, important contests. I mean, I'm always interested in the mindset of getting prepared and peaking at the right time. Your discipline, your protein intake. Do you think the science was as good as it is today?
I think the science is better. I think the work ethics is less. I think because of technology, equipment, supplementation. People can take an easier route to achieve their goal. I think we literally worked harder back then because we had less options, and also we had less interference. There was no internet and stuff like that. But yeah, my mentality back then, it was fairly easy. I was very mechanical. I would just like shut my brain off and just do my job. I remember even when I was training with Tyrell, he'd be training me, and I would just be so either angry or pissed off because of what I had to do. And I just always had the ability to say, just shut up and do it. Don't look at him, because if I glance and I look at him, he's going to be able to read in my eyes what I'm thinking. So I would just keep my head down and just tell myself, shut up and do it. And I had that same mentality in training, and I just would mechanically just stay locked in. So it was really easy, and it was normal. It was very different back then because with my training partners, Chris Camira and Rico McClinton, it was our lifestyle. We ate, slept, and trained bodybuilding. We hung around with each other all the time. So either we were eating, they were playing video games, or we're in a gym. There was no like going out, hanging out that much, partying or anything like that. So it was so normal. I mean, I remember just like training and giving it my all, and then driving home and being so angry, like, how do I outdo that workout? How do I outdo that one? And I would go to sleep mad and just angry, like, how do I come up with more energy to outdo that? And then when I wake up, I'm like, God dang it, I can't wait to get in there. And I was just so freaking amped just to get it in, just like fighting. If I had an opponent who actually touched my face, I'd be like, I'd stop and I'd run up to him and give him a hug, like, yes, let's go, let's go.
Awesome, man.
Let me give you a little bit more.
It got you fired up, huh?
Yes. So it was the same thing about that. So it wasn't like, I gotta go to the gym. It's like, I can't wait to get to the gym.
Who were your mentors back then? I know that you and Arnold, I mean, it's certainly, you've won, I think you just won an award recently a couple of years ago. Right?
Yeah, I was blessed to get a Lifetime Achievement Award from Arnold this year, one from the Olympia last year, 2 years before that, one from the IFBB Federation. And then about 10 years ago, Dexter gave me one. So I got, 4 Lifetime Achievement Awards. But no, I mean, I can't say like me and Arnold were boys and knew each other's number. But after winning the show a couple of times, he was extremely kind to me. If I ever seen him anywhere in public, he would just, if he seen me, he'd change directions and come over and give me a hug. And, when I was competing in this show, he would, write me letters about what he thought about me. I had a book that was written about my life, and he actually gave a quote to go on the front of it. So, but my mentors, I could look at anyone and find something within that drove me, because I always had a mentality I can learn from a 3-year-old. I could look at a 3-year-old and learn. So if I walked in the gym and see it was some skinny kid who didn't really look, great, but he was just getting it, that would amp me. I'm like, look at him, get it. Let me get it, Mm-hmm. So it didn't matter. I would just be able to look at somebody, even if I didn't like them, like, wow, their physique look great. Let me work hard. Or, somebody was competing and they did well, like, wow, let me work hard. I want to compete. Or if they're generating money. So any of those things helped me to say, okay, let me go. Let me get at it, and it didn't matter. Back then it was just so incredible in Gold's Gym. You would have, freaking the Lakers walk through, you would have the Bulls and Michael walk through. You'd have, just all that. And then later on, Kobe was training there, and we would talk and hang out and exchange shoes and shirts and stuff. So,
wow.
Every top list A actor was in there. Mickey Rourke, who's still a good friend of mine, was in there all the time. So you just had people in there that was about it. They was about handling their business side. Florence Griffith Joyner, was training there. Jesus Christ. It's like, back then you didn't walk into that gym and bang, that was not a place you go to talk and hang out. You would have anyone, walk up and, what we called it back then, check your skirt. You know what I mean? If you were just sitting on a bench or something, just running your mouth, you'd have somebody walk up and holler at you about it and tell you might want to get out of here. You know what I mean? So it was just about handling it, but it wasn't an intimidating factor. You didn't walk in and feel intimidated, but you just felt amped. You walk around and see these people like getting you. You just feel amped. And just want to be a part of that.
Amazing, man. Those were good old days, man. You know, it's
Yeah.
you know, that Gold's Gym in that area. Oh man.
Yeah.
You know,
Just
that's where
everybody, Carl Weathers,
yeah.
you know, everybody was there training, you know, just
Mm.
whoever you idolized on TV or great Olympic or whatever, any prime athlete was there at one time or another. So it was just a place to be, you know.
Did you ever get a chance to meet like Frank Zane or, you know,
Yeah, of
Franco
course.
Colombo or?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, met him quite a few times.
Yeah.
Serge Olivia was somebody who I really
Olivia.
wanted.
Yep.
Serge or Newbert, would see him all the time in the gym, train with him a few times. All those guys,
Yep.
man. Yeah, I got to
Yeah.
meet all those guys.
Wow. Those are pave
Awesome.
makers, man.
Yeah.
Those guys paved the way without a doubt. So tell me, you know, when it came to competition day, and this is separating like a champion, the first place guy from a second or a third place guy, because it's hard for the person that doesn't really, it's not a judge and it's not completely dialed into exactly what they're looking at. You know, what would separate, say, you from Ronnie Coleman in certain, and you know, when you're battling it off there?
If I knew that answer, I would have changed it and won. Yeah, I don't know. You know, some of those I thought I won. Some I knew I didn't. It's a very subjective sport, but
Do you go in there saying, well, maybe my glutes or my calves are a little bit weak, or, you know, maybe my biceps, or maybe I don't have enough, you know, my fat is a little bit high, or, you know, so I'm wondering, you know, when you go into a competition like this and you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you got, I'm sure, coaches and people that are looking and saying, kind of cross-checking you and seeing you, uh, you know, is it like when you said you felt like you won? I mean, are you saying it from a perspective of you felt that your physique at that moment was better than his in your mind?
yeah. So I consider myself a master poser. One of the things that I hate and I'm most upset about during that time, kind of Rich did a little bit, and there were some other people even before Rich who had striated glutes, but it wasn't a body part that was really focused on. You know, you look at all the old champions, you look at all the old Olympians before Ronnie, none of them had striated glutes. None of them really had great hamstring separation. What I get most pissed about is when I watch my posing. Only a few times did I actually really flex my glutes really hard or my hamstrings really hard. Now there's a video that's viral that Ronnie's going into his back shot. I'm getting ready to go back into mine, and I step back and I look back at his glutes, right? And of course, Ronnie knows he had the craziest glutes in the history of the sport. You know, he just grabbed him and just yanked him all the way up, you know, to a G-string. And at that moment, I was like, I'll be down. I screwed up. You know, for one, I just acknowledged his PowerPoint, and I don't have that PowerPoint. But other than Ronnie, there was really nobody else who had striated glutes, or if they did, I defeated them anyway because it was good enough. So my mentality was, yes, his hamstrings and glutes are better than mine, but my back is more striated than his. My waist is smaller than his. My legs, my frontal quads are more striated, feathered, and my separation goes all the way up throughout my hip flexor. My abs are better than his. My bicep peak is better than his. My flow is better than his. My V taper is better than his. And even out of Ronnie's mouth, my physique overall was better than his. So I always said, yeah, he got me in two places and he got me in overall size. Does that determine that he gets me in all places now? You know, it's like that old saying, bodybuilding is one from the back. I'm like, I always hated that because, for one, it was my weaker body part, meaning my hamstrings and glutes, not my back. But I'm like, so what about from the side, from the front? Does the rest come into play? Mm-hmm. Does condition come into play? Does posing? Does the persona that you project? Does any of that come into play?
Do you think that bodybuilding has changed dynamically, you know, through the 70s and 80s, 90s, and then now where it is today? back in the older days, when you were coming up and Arnold, and there was symmetry, and there was, I don't know how to explain it, but your body looked beautiful. When it got to the point now where it's just everything is like a big lump, it's not aesthetically pleasing. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think the judges can only judge what they see, right? They can only judge based on the lineup that they have up there.
True.
I think the answer, the question you asked, has been answered already so many times, where you see people constantly post older pictures of people like myself or from my era and match it up against a current competitor and say, wow, they were better. So I think that's already answered. I don't think that's a good evolution of the sport. I think the sport should be better. I think the athletes should be better. You take a Mercedes-Benz from 1989, and it ain't going to be able to get with a Mercedes-Benz from 2023 in any way. Speed, looks, overall, nothing. But again, that's not the judge's fault. That's the criteria of the athletes. I think there are some athletes who still kind of carry that torch or try to. But I think also the sport goes in birhythms. You go back in Frank Zane's day, it wasn't about mass. It was about lines and class and symmetry. And then it ushered into the bigger guys started winning, and it changed. So I think whoever the champion is defined the lineup. But what's really interesting is sometimes you will have a complete different look come in and smash that overall look. So again, I think the judges are still judging, but they can only judge what they're looking at, man.
All right, before I let you go, you have gone through a lot of obstacles and challenges in your life. And I mean, here you are, still operating at high levels. What keeps you driven? I mean, what are you hungry for now?
I don't know. One, like I said, I've always been hardwired. To try really hard. I know once I started running into health problems, like in 2003, I had my kidney transplant, and I had 9 surgeries in 11 weeks that I almost died from. And it was really difficult at that time, because I still had a mentality of an athlete. I literally thought I'd be able to get a transplant and go back and get back on stage and start earning money. And I remember after my 9th surgery, on the 11th week, they're like, it's not going to happen. That mentality of an athlete was beaten out of me so much by all the surgeries and just being in the hospital for damn near a year. My mentality switched to I need to fight to be here, period. And all my energy just started transferred into that whole mentality of, yeah, let's get it in, or let's fight. I'm in a different fight now, and this one I can't lose.
What are you doing nowadays? What is it that you're out there doing?
So I have my training app, Flexibility Coaching. I have 2 different training apps. They're both on Apple and Android. I'm proud that I just released my new line, Flexibility Nutrition. We just released in India. We're going to release it at the Dubai Muscle Show at the end of the year. Then in Europe, and then next year also here in the United States. So I'm very excited about that. I got a meeting in a couple of hours about a new clothing line and coming out with a full-on clothing line, training gear and stuff like that. So what I'm just trying to do now, along with just being a spokesperson for people who are limb loss after losing my leg about almost 3 years ago, I'm just trying to just give back, man. I just want to help people. I don't care about money anymore, because I've been a millionaire and it didn't make me happy. I was still suicidal. I was suicidal from the age of, I think the first time I tried to take my life, I was about 13, 14, 12. And I literally tried to take my life all the way up until probably over a year ago. So just having that taken away from me, being an advocate for other people who are suicidal, talking about mental health, because it's such a massive situation, especially men. We don't talk about that. and even more Black men don't talk about that. You're considered a PUSSY. So hopefully people can see what I went through, what empowers me, and then say, wow, if he'd been through all that, I need to keep trying. So I just want to motivate people. I just want to give back. We need some real warriors now, not just men, but men and women. This is a time where I think, people with mental fortitude and men with testicular fortitude need to stand up and protect the weak and the meek.
Amazing. I mean, everything you said, I agree with. And the fact that you're here, you're out, you're doing, God's work. I really believe that you're doing something.
It's 100%, man. 100%. And the finalize your question, what empowers me? Him. So I was raised as a Baptist, always been in church, obviously became a derelict and thought I could do everything on my own as an athlete, as me. One of the best things that ever happened to me was my kidney transplant and losing my leg, because it just brought me back closer to him and helped me to understand, no, it's him. To lose my leg, it enabled me to talk. Now I'm being able to take my global name and be able to be a spokesperson for them, knowing what they go through. We look at people with a limb loss, we kind of look at them and like, oh, I wonder what's their story, as we're kind of glancing, what's their story? How did that happen? I am that. So just all those things at the end of the day, like I said, just taking these lemons, because life will deal you lemons no matter what.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, let me ask you this. Where can people follow you?
So my Instagram is official Flex Wheeler. I'm in a billion cases right now where Flex Wheeler is trademarked, and also that iconic figure of mine is trademarked. So I'm in so many battles right now with people using my name. I know I can't even give you my Facebook address, because last I counted, it was over 300 imposters. Actually, I mean, literally using my pictures of my kids, and all this crap. So, but you can find me at official Flex Wheeler, and, just be careful. Hopefully it's the right one, so yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, it was an honor to speak to you, an honor to have you on. I mean, in my opinion, you are a warrior. You're out there doing God's work. You're on a mission. And you carry this mindset with you where it's, you're not going to give up. You're going to forge forward, and a lot of young men specifically, and ladies, should, watch this podcast, listen to it. What Flex said right now is something that we need desperately in our society. We need great warriors. Thank you for being on, brother. I really appreciate you.
No, the honor's all mine. The honor's all mine. Thank you so much for thinking I had something to offer. They end this, a lot of people will say that they'll meet someone that they empowered, because we have to look at a person and give them that power. We empower them. But for me, just being this kid from the ghetto and, being homeless, being molested from the age of 5 to 13, being dyslexic and all these negative things, to be blessed by my Father in heaven, that people just want my scribble of my name on a piece of paper, or just to shake my jakey freaking hand, or take a picture with you, or sign, or meet someone, say, I named my dog Flex, or man, I got my picture of you and it's on my refrigerator, and whatever I think about being weak, I look at you.
Damn, that's awesome. Powerful.
That's the blessing. So thank you. It's my honor.
If you love these type of podcasts, do me a favor, smash that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, share the hell out of this video, and more importantly, like it, comment on it, so I know that you're getting something out of it. All right, if you've been living under a rock someplace, somehow, and you're not familiar with one of the most powerful programs in the world right now, all about forging men into warriors, into stronger fathers, husbands, leaders, visionaries, men of action, I highly recommend that you go to menofwarcrucible.com. That's MEN of warcrucible.com, and check out the program. It is a life-changing experience. Until next time, your life may be challenging and full of dangers, but never retreat. Your last battle, boom, may be your greatest victory.